Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to make a video about Rainbow Six Siege. Now, you guys probably already know what I'm going to be talking about because you clicked on the video and the title's, talking about Rainbow Six Siege being pay to win. But before I even want to get into anything, I just want to say that I am in love with Rainbow Six Siege. My friends and I have been playing the game a lot in the last month, and it's so much fun, it's so intense, it requires a lot of skill and strategy, and it's so much fun. So, and I say that because I want you guys to understand that this isn't coming from someone that, despises the game and I want to watch the game die because I hate the game. No, I really enjoy this game and I just want it to be better. And it really hurts when you enjoy a game so much, but there's stuff going on like this. The game is so infested with microtransactions and pay-to-win features that it seems like a free-to-play game, but it's not. It's a $40 game. I want to, and just before, anything, I want to give my definition of pay-to-win, because it is super strict, and if you've watched my, previous videos or any earlier videos, you probably already know this, but my definition of pay-to-win is if two people both start playing the game at the same time, and they have the same exact skill, if one person spends money in the game and the other person doesn't spend even a dime, and they both spend, they both play the game the exact amount of time and they're both same skill level, if the person that spent money has an advantage over the person that doesn't, then that's pay to win. So like in Overwatch, if that happens, someone drops $5 million in loot boxes and the other person doesn't spend anything, the person that bought all the loot boxes, they have no advantage. They have skins, yes, that's cool, but they don't have an advantage. So Overwatch isn't pay to win, obviously. And a lot of people, I want to just say, yes, you can unlock all of the operators without spending any money. That is a thing you can do, obviously. All of the base game operators, it takes around 20 to 30 hours to unlock all of them, and it takes around 20 to 30 hours to get each new DLC operator. So, yes, you can technically unlock all of them. It's a little bit more reasonable with all the base game operators, because unlocking all of the base game operators only takes 20 to 30 hours, but to get it takes 20 to 30 hours to get each new DLC operator. Just think about that for a second. That's a long time. And on top of that, some of the best operators are DLC operators like Blackbeard, Hibana, Mira, Ela, Buck, and Valkyrie. And that is kind of just, if they keep on adding a ton of new characters, some of them are going to be pretty good. And I understand that. I don't, do I think they're purposely making the DLC characters super OP so people want to buy them? Maybe, I don't know. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying some of the DLC operators are very good, whether that's intended or not. It's just a thing. And on top of that, the game is based around having a lot of operators and strategizing with your team and making team compositions, but if you only have a handful of the base operators, you're at such a disadvantage. And I think people on the internet and the subreddit and stuff were calculating how long it would take to unlock everything. Well, all of the operators anyways, there's no way to even unlock all of the cosmetics and everything without spending money. But it would take around 300 to 400 hours to unlock every operator. And that is a lot of time. Like, some people, obviously, they just have a ton of free time. They can be like, oh, I have 600 hours in the game, I haven't spent a dime besides just buying the game, and I'm fine. So, the game's not pay to win. But the thing is not everyone has that amount of time. And even if, everyone, all of a sudden, no one had to work, everyone got free money, and everyone could just spend as much time as they want playing Rainbow Six Siege, that doesn't change the fact that it's pay to win. That doesn't make it not pay to win. Just because someone has... just because someone can unlock every operator just by grinding it out doesn't make the entire system itself not pay to win. That's not how that works. And the thing I don't understand is why the fan base is so adamant about defending this when they get mad at smaller things. So I just want to kind of go over some things I've seen just on the Rainbow Six Siege subreddit, some things that people have been saying in order to defend all of this. So here's the first one. No, this game is not pay to win at all. It's purely skill and luck. Operators give a slight advantage, but if you're good, you can beat them. And the thing is right off the bat, first of all, you do just say operators can give a slight advantage. Although he's probably trying to say, the advantage you get from some of the operators aren't that large, he's still admitting that there is an advantage to be had in buying and getting the new operators. And on top of that, just because if you're good you can beat them, that doesn't change the fact that they have an advantage by paying. If you, even the most pay to win games, if you're good, sometimes, yeah, you can maybe sometimes beat the person that paid to win. That doesn't make the game not pay to win. And here's another thing. I haven't played much, but I don't see how it's pay to win. I mean, your operator is only as good as the person controlling him or her. And now this is the same thing. It's just super ridiculous. You could say this literally about most pay-to-win games, and it does not mean anything. I mean, it can mean that, like, there's not a gun that only costs $5,000 and it just insta-kills everyone on the server. You know, I mean, it could mean that, but that doesn't mean that the game still can't be pay-to-win. Here's another thing. I would disagree with it being pay to win. Anyone can get the operators. Sure, season pass owners could get them a week early and for free, but still available to everyone. It's not like you can buy a damage booster and attach it to weapons. And this is one of the biggest things I hear from people defending it. You can earn all of them easily. But it takes 20 to 30 hours to earn new operators, and although buying damage boosters would be very bad, just because the game isn't that pay to win doesn't mean it's not pay to win at all. You know, although, yeah, having a damage booster that you could just put on any gun and being able to buy that, that would make the game very, very, very pay to win. But just because Rainbow Six Siege does not have that doesn't just automatically make the game not pay to win. And, you know, as an example, I just want to say something real fast. When we first started getting back into this game, my friends and I, it was sometime this month. And I had around 6,000 to 8,000, like, renown, which is the currency you earn. And DLC operators take around 22,500 renown to buy. And I had around 6,000 to 8,000. In the past 2 weeks, I have around 27 hours in the game. And I just now am getting close to being able to buy some. And I think I have like 22,000 renown. So I'm very close. I have like 2 more games. But that's within 27 hours. And I already had a decent chunk of renown saved up. So, I just, you know, these numbers I'm talking about, they're not just pulled out of thin air. This is a real thing. It does really take around 30 hours to buy a DLC operator with grinding, you know, ranked and doing well and stuff as well. It's not just random numbers I'm pulling out of thin air. And here's one more thing. When someone was defending the game. He said, number 1, you don't need the DLC ops to be competitive. There are more than enough viable base game operators for you to play, which take 25k to unlock all of them combined. DLC ops, and number 2, DLC ops can be unlocked just by playing, and each one can be unlocked in around 40 hours of playtime. Do they try to tempt you to buy the season pass? Obviously. Do you gain an advantage by buying the season pass? No. And now, for that end part where it says, do you gain an advantage by buying the season pass? No. Now, in terms of, if someone, someone saved up renown, okay? And they just, as all the new characters came out, they just instantly bought them, and someone else had the season pass. The person that has the season pass doesn't have, they're correct in saying this person that has the season pass does not have an advantage over the person that can just immediately buy the new credits. But what the season pass does is it makes it where you don't have to spend 20 to 30 hours buying new operators. And for me, it's around 30 to 33 hours to buy a new operator. This person is saying for him, they can unlock in around 40 hours. And he's saying that's what makes it not pay to win. And so for the number 2 part specifically, he's saying, you know, like a lot of other people are saying, the game's not pay to win, it's what a lot of them call pay to progress, or, you know, pay to like shortcut, or pay to, you know, hurry up, or whatever. I don't, you know, there's not like a specific term that everyone says, but they're just saying, you know, you can, it's not pay to win, it's just pay to speed up the progress. And the thing is when the progress, so every operator, if every DLC operator takes around 40 hours to, you know, come out, and if they're adding 8 new operators every year, that is so much time you're having to grind into the game. And on top of that, when you're grinding out for the operators, a lot of other people are going to have the operators you're grinding for. So when you're grinding for those operators, you don't even have the operators that everyone else has. So if there is a really new good operator that comes out, you can't play them because you're grinding for that operator. And specifically for the number 1 point where he said you don't need the DLC ops to be competitive, there are more than enough viable base game operators for you to play, which take 25k to unlock all of them combined. Just because, you know, like I said earlier, there are some operators in the base game that are very, very good. You have Smoke, you have Thermite, which are 2 of, you know, considered some of the best operators in the entire game. But just because there are some good operators in base game, and just because, you know, you're not going to get completely stomped if you don't have the base game operators, that doesn't mean that the game's not pay to win. As an example, when Thermite was out, pretty much everyone thought you need a single Thermite on your team. That just was a way, because he was the only one that could destroy like barricaded like walls and stuff like that. And then a DLC operator came out called Hibana, and she has like a kind of grenade launcher sticky thing that can destroy those same things. So now there's two operators, and a lot of times people think Hibana is better than Thermite in a lot of case scenarios. Is Thermite better in some case scenarios? Sure, but a lot of people consider Hibana to be just a direct upgrade a lot of the times in a lot of situations, and obviously not in every situation. And she's a DLC operator. So right now, if you want someone that has that really cool breaching ability, if you have Hibana, great for you. If you don't, you're stuck with Thermite, and you're thinking, oh wow, I bet I would be doing a lot better right now if I had a Hibana. And it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous how people defend this to the death. And the main thing that is an issue with me is I understand that I have an extremely strict definition of, you know, what a game is, how it becomes pay to win. In my mind, it's just super strict, and I understand that, but I will defend that to the death. That is my definition, but I can understand some people might have a little less definition. All of these people obviously feel that if you can earn the game with, or, you know, earn the operators while grinding, then it's okay, and it's not pay to win. And, you know, we're all humans, we all have different opinions. That's their opinion. Do I think their opinion is wrong? Sure, but that doesn't, you know, that's their opinion. But the thing is when people are okay with it in this game, and they're defending it to the death, as you're seeing here. And one thing I just want to point out is the Reddit posts I pulled from, anytime someone tries to discuss or kind of talk about the game being pay to win, or ask if the game's pay to win, these are the most upvoted responses. You know, when I was trying to do research and look at, you know, people's opinions of it, these were the most upvoted answers. So this is what a general, you know, population of the game feels, at least on the subreddit. And I feel it's mainly just because the game is good and they're defending it to the death. But when the same exact thing happens in another game by a different publisher, it's not okay. So in this, as you know, they said it's fine because you can grind an operator, and it takes around 40 hours to grind an operator. But when Star Wars Battlefront 2 was like, hey, it takes around 40 hours to unlock new heroes like Darth Vader, everyone flipped out. That game was like, everyone was talking about how pay to win that game was and how terrible it is, and obviously there were some other issues with that. As an example, a lot of the progression was behind loot boxes, which is just adding, you know, which is an entirely new scummy level of pay to win. But in terms of the just heroes themselves, where people are saying it takes 40 hours to grind Darth Vader, and people were so upset about that, why are you not upset about a 40-hour grind to get a new great operator in Rainbow Six Siege? Is it just because the game's good and you really enjoy the game? Because that's what it seems like to me. You know, I have a very strict definition of pay to win. So for me, this is pay to win, and the Star Wars Battlefront 2 stuff is pay to win. And, you know, if you have a different opinion of pay to win, I can slightly understand you have an opinion. I don't agree with it, but that's your opinion. But when you're saying that this is okay in Rainbow Six Siege, but it's not in Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's not okay, because you're being very inconsistent. Now, I'm not trying to defend Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm just saying we need to treat every game the same. We need to treat all the games with the same standards. And one thing I just want to touch on really, really fast is the Starter Edition. The Starter Edition is just so scummy. So the normal game costs $40, and it takes, obviously, like people have said, around 25 hours to earn all of the base game operators. Now, if you buy the Starter Edition, it's $15. You get like 4 of the operators by default for free, and then it takes around 20 to 30 hours for each of the base game operators as well. And so me and most of my friends, and myself included, bought the Starter Edition. We got sucked into it. So then I bought some of the operators with the currency, because that's what everyone kept saying on the subreddit. They're just like, oh, just buy the currency that you would spend to buy the full version and get that. So I bought that. Then I bought the full version of the game because I thought it affected all of the, you know, next operators. Then I bought the year 2 pass, and I bought, you know, some credits for some of the year 1 people because I wasn't able to buy the year 1 pass for that. And so I've spent around like 130, 140, and I don't even have the operators. I'm missing 3 of the year 1 operators, and that's ridiculous. And on top of that, year 3 is starting to happen, so, you know, I gotta buy the season pass for that. And, you know, I'm not saying, you know, spending $30 a year to have a online competitive multiplayer game constantly be updated isn't that bad. But the way they do it is just despicable, and the way the community defends it is awful. And also, it's not even really the topic of this video, because, you know, we're talking about pay to win, but the microtransactions and just all of the DLC for skins and stuff like that, just, it makes the game feel like a free-to-play game, especially of how expensive it takes. You know, if you're wanting to buy it with the renown rather than the real-world currency, just some simple helmets or weapon charms or weapon skins take 20 to 30 hours to grind out. Some of them cost almost as much as a new DLC operator. And we've already discussed new DLC operators take around 30 hours to grind out. And on top of that, you have, you know, what they're having their own alpha pack system, which is their own loot boxes, and they've said they're going to start being able to, people are going to be able to buy them for real money in the future. So we're going to have the base game, we're going to have season passes, we're going to have microtransactions, and now we're going to have loot boxes. And it's just so ridiculous. If you showed the game to someone that has no idea what the game is, but you showed them and told them all about the game, and you asked them, how much do you think this game cost? Almost anyone would be like, oh, it's a free-to-play game, you know, because, you know, pay to win, you got microtransactions, you know, that's fine if it's a free-to-play game, like League of Legends or Dota or whatever. But then you tell them it's a $40 game, and it's just ridiculous. And so that's kind of my rant on Rainbow Six Siege and, you know, how pay to win it is. And obviously, like I said earlier, we're all human. We can all have different opinions. So if you guys have a different opinion, or you guys kind of have a different thing, different way you've thought about it, you know, let me know in the comments down below. I love to hear them all. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below, and subscribing to see more content. Every Wednesday, I'll put out a random video like this one, or, you know, whatever I want. And every Saturday, there'll be a TTG show. But thanks, guys, for listening to my my rant here about Rainbow Six Siege. And like always, guys, see you next time.